Chet Gallagher, who's just arrived in Nashville. He's part of an important effort to defend marriage, and there is a revival going on in Nashville. It's not a Baptist big tent revival, but one to revive the Beavers-Pody bill. Well, this is David Toulis and Chet Gallagher. Thanks for calling us. You've just arrived in Nashville. Why are you there?
Well, I'm here because there's an amazing bill that was stalled in committee, the Tennessee Natural Marriage Defense Act. And there's an opportunity where even as late as this afternoon, the carrier of that bill, Representative Mark Pody, can receive enough votes to bring a motion to the floor next Monday evening when the legislative session meets, and to argue that this is so important that rather than failing in committee and forgetting about this bill, that this bill should be brought from the committee to the legislative floor on Monday to be heard. And we're trying to do all that we can to get people to call in, call the representatives, call other legislators within the House to encourage them to make a favorable vote towards Mark's motion, should he decide to do that. And call him today and let him know that they're going to do that for him when he has that opportunity tomorrow.
Can you give my listeners some of the maybe the most important names and numbers which the listener should be calling Chet Gallagher?
Yeah, I think probably the most effective thing that your listeners can do right now, if they go online and go to capital, C-A-P, I-T-O-L, not A-L, capital.tn.gov, and that'll take them to the legislative website. They can click on the House of Representatives, see a list of all the representatives and their phone numbers, and they just begin calling them after they call their representative first and express their concern that this bill has been suspended in committee. Ask that Rule 53 be allowed to bring this back to the floor.
So you're
and then ask them to call those legislators to call Mark Pody and let him know that they're going to vote in favor.
Well, now, Chet Gallagher, I've not given you a proper introduction. Can you say something briefly about who you are, where you're from, and why you care about what's happening in Nashville? What's your background and your?
Well, thanks, David. I'm actually a former police officer in Las Vegas, Nevada. My career ended not so typically. When I was standing with some rescuers outside of an abortion clinic while I was on duty. Supervisors came and told me to leave the area. I knew that they were doing my job trying to rescue these children that were about to die. And when I told my supervisor I couldn't, as an on-duty police officer, walk away from what I know to be a murder in progress, I was the first one arrested that day. And that's how God transitioned me out of law enforcement into full-time ministry almost 30 years ago. We've been pro-life activists, my wife and I, preaching the gospel, standing for Jesus Christ, but most importantly for people to understand that we are seeing what is wrong in this nation, standing against it, what's wicked, standing against it, what's lawful, what's not lawful, and standing against the unlawful actions in various venues across the country, specifically now in Tennessee, where there's been an encroachment by the United States Supreme Court to attempt to redefine marriage, not only for Tennesseans, but for the rest of the country. And when the Supreme Court has no jurisdiction, this is according to the dissenting justices, Scalia and Roberts and others, has no jurisdiction to rule in this matter of domestic marriage. So there's something that's wrong, and so we're here to try to do what we can to bring it to the attention of legislators and right that. Unfortunately, we've got legislators here, Mark Pody on the House side, Senator May Beavers on the Senate side, who understand this doctrine of interposition, standing against what's wicked, and even sometimes at great risk for themselves, but doing the right thing. So that's what we're about.
This is David Toulis. We're talking with Chet Gallagher, the only police officer in the country, I think, in American history since Roe v. Wade, that prevented states from stopping the murder for the unborn. Chet Gallagher is the only police officer who personally interposed himself between a murderous abortion clinic operator and the women and customers who were going in. He interposed himself. He said he would not obey a lawless order from his commander to arrest people involved in Operation Rescue. So we are talking with a remarkable American, and every other cop in the country has been involved in defending abortion clinic properties, defending the so-called rights to destroy women and children. So Chet Gallagher, you mentioned the word interposition. That's a big word. What's another way of describing the doctrine of interposition? In a way, it's saying no. You're saying no.
Rich history.
Talk about it.
To the very beginning, actually, not just in biblical political cases, but in secular cases across the globe. It's really simple to understand. You have the tyrant, and it could be whether it's in a dictatorship or a monarchy or even a republic, where you've got someone acting tyrannically beyond their lawful authority, their lawful delegated authority, imposing their reckless, encroaching, and in this case, judicial will upon the will of the people. Now, here in Tennessee, 2006, 10 years ago, there's a constitutional amendment that says specifically that marriage in Tennessee has been and shall remain only one man and one woman. Then it goes on to say, and any law or policy or judicial interpretation to the contrary, purporting to define it as anything other than man or woman, one man or one woman, shall be unenforceable in the state of Tennessee. So when they said judicial interpretation, they were literally picking a fight back there 10 years ago when almost 81.6, almost 82% of the Tennesseans voted for that constitutional amendment to defend marriage. Now, here we have the opportunity to do just that because we've got lawful, courageous legislators that are standing in the gap. They are opposing constitutionally, if not morally, and they're opposing this tyranny of the Supreme Court, this overreach, this encroachment that even Justice Scalia called not only legislation from the bench, but super legislation. So this lawless act of the Supreme Court needs to be abated. And the wickedness that it's trying to impose upon the citizens of this state and other states likewise needs to be halted. And the way that you do that lawfully, see, we're not talking about lawless resistance. We're not talking about rebellion. We're talking about lawful resistance to a tyrannical overreach by the use of legislators who are willing to take a stand and standing on their constitutional, as a matter of fact, not just standing on their constitutional requirement and their oath of office, but realizing that the Constitution, the state of Tennessee, mandates that they do not allow. Listen, listeners, that your Constitution, Article 11, Section 18, mandates that they do not allow any judicial interpretation, any, including the Supreme Court, in any court, judicial interpretation to impose its lawless will upon the citizens of this state attempting to, making an effort, and by some amazing set of circumstances that both the governor and the attorney general would agree to allow them to do that. And they've just not done their job. They've not done their job to defend the Constitution of the state of Tennessee and even the Constitution of the United States, because these powers over domestic relations and marriage are nowhere to be found as enumerated powers of the legislature, of the judiciary.
Well, Chet Gallagher, let me ask you a question. Chet, let me ask you a question.
Belonging to the judiciary, go to the state.
Right. Chet, the question is, the question I would like my listener wants to ask you is, so Governor Haslam, he was an elder in the Presbyterian Church, and his Attorney General, Mr. Slater, also an elder in the Presbyterian Church. They are violating their promises to God to allow and bring and live out godly government. They're also violating their constitutional oaths to defend the Constitution. And so we have gay marriage in Tennessee. And is it fair to say that they, as Republican bosses, have imposed it, or are they simply helpless and hapless and unable to do anything against this far, far greater power out of the court in Washington? Are they the sponsors, in fact? That's
a legitimate question, and let me try to answer it, not taking as much time as it did on the last question. The bottom line is this. Yes, you made a point. They've taken an oath of office and an oath to the God that they profess to serve. Which really adds to the significance and seriousness of it because they're believing Christians. And that oath of office means that they're sworn by their duty to uphold the laws of the state and the Constitution of the state and the Constitution of the United States. But they are professing the lie that we've all, well, the majority of us anyway, have come to believe that when the Supreme Court of the United States of America rules, it is the law of the land. And listeners, this is the fact. Courts cannot make laws. Lawmakers make laws. And the executive has a responsibility, once those laws are made, not to impose his will upon the lawmakers, but allow them to make laws, then to discern, with the help of his attorney general, the lawfulness of those decrees and sign it. And that's why with this bill, HB 1412 must be resurrected where it was stalled in committee last month and brought to the floor of the Senate as the author of the bill, Mark Pody, is attempting to do. But time is of the essence.
So time is of the essence, and the listener is urged by Chet Gallagher, the only officer, police officer in the country who has defended the unborn, and now for many years now a Christian activist and in Christian ministry. It is being asked that you, the listener of my show, David Tulis' show here, call your state senator or your state representative. We do have the cell number of Senator Todd Gardenhire, who has befouled himself earlier on the right to the constitutional carry bill. His cell number is 423 area code, but it's 240-8918. That's 240-8918. I don't suggest you call him; he's really busy. But at least my listener, text him briefly. Please support marriage. And put your full name there so he'll know who you are if he wants to text you back. But he is in meetings right now, so you can't call Todd Gardenhire right now. But that's something that Chet Gallagher is proposing. This is David Tulis, and we're at AM 1240 Hot News Talk Radio. We're the station for the man who matters, and we cover local economy and the free markets. We're talking with Chet Gallagher, excuse me, and we're going to hear in a minute a couple of more important points about the idea of saying no. You, my listener, can say no. Our state needs to say no to the good people in Washington, as we call them, the good people, and their pro-homosexual, pro-nationalist perspective. We believe in local economy and the free market. We believe in constitutional government. Now, I've got some important messages I want you to hear. Really important. Just listen to these remarks here. Okay?
Live from Chattanooga, Tennessee, it's Nuganomics with David Tulis.
This is David Tulis. We are brought to you by Advantage Printing. Advantage Printing, where I get my homeschool newsletter run through the mailing apparatus. That's Advantage Printing, a great service. The homeschoolers, who are very thrifty and sharp people in Chattanooga, know where to get their printing done, and they go to Advantage Printing with the blue awnings right next to Food City on Brainerd Road. Call Alan at 629-1800 to find out what he can do for you. That's Alan at Advantage Printing, 629-1800. And my name is David Tulis. If you have any kind of a breakdown in your pipes in your house, make sure that Ray's Plumbing is the number on your fridge. That's Ray's Plumbing. And you can call him at 421-6341. That's Ray's Plumbing, 421-6341. We're talking about a very exciting opportunity. A kind of a resurrection is in view, and it's of a bill called the Beavers-Pody bill, after the two sponsors, Senator May Beavers and Representative Mark Pody. And it's a bill that's got some high title, and it's the Tennessee Natural Marriage Defense Act that was killed by Christian people in a subcommittee vote recently. And if you know about that, that's thanks to our coverage at Nuganomics.com. That is the website for the man who matters. Here it's Nuganomics.com. And we've covered that extensively, and we've put the blame sort of where it belongs on a very good Christian man, David Fowler, former senator and an attorney who favors litigation, more applying to the courts for relief rather than interposition. And David Fowler convinced the committee, the subcommittee, to vote against and destroy the bill that's now being an attempt is being made to resurrect it. And one of the arguments that was made is that you are just full of bluster and talk. You supporters of this measure, you don't really believe what you're saying. And who has he says who has gone after local clerks and others under the Tennessee Relator Law, which let people like you and 9 others throw out from office those public officials who violate the Constitution. No one's done that. Therefore, there's no support for what you're saying, and you are just full of hot air, and you are just playing politics. Well, we have on the phone Chet Gallagher. Chet, is David Fowler right? Is the Family Action Coalition going to fight the pro-marriage bill again, do you think?
Well, here's the deal, and it's amazing you're mentioning David's name, because the reason that I can't stay with you for the full hour of the program is I'm meeting with David in the next 20 minutes or so. David is a brother in Christ. Family Action Council has been an effective ministry across the nation. But we disagree. We believe that David, as an attorney, also an officer of the court, is looking to the courts again to, basically set the groundwork rather for making law. And you don't want to go back to the courts when there's already in place law in Tennessee. And there's been some disagreement as to whether or not his lawsuit would be moot because of a law, and I'll actually be talking to him about that. The other person that I'm meeting at 11:15 this morning happens to be Representative Mike Carter. And Mike was the man, one of two, that strongly opposed, one of two Republicans that strongly opposed going forward in the bill, not because they disagreed with the bill, but preferred and said for the timing for the court to go forward. So I'm meeting with both of those men this morning, and I would really encourage your listeners, if there's anything immediate they can do, I'm going to give you Mike Carter's phone number and give him a call and let him know that this is the time to let Mark Pody's bill come back, because he actually has the power to do that. He can do it without Rule 53. He can do it by just saying, okay, I've changed my mind. There's more evidence to come into light, and we need to bring this to the floor for a discussion. And Mike Carter's phone number there in the Chattanooga area is 615-741-3025. Again, 615-741-3025.
That's the Nashville office number.
Be very gracious. He's a Christian brother as well as David Fowler. Plead with him in the name of Jesus to do the right thing and give this bill a full hearing in the House.
And okay, so we're talking with Chet Gallagher, who's a pro-life, pro-self-government, and you might say a pro-marriage man who's spent many years in Christian ministry. He was the only American police officer to seek to interpose himself between the abortionists and the babies, and lost his job. Was fired for the living out the doctrine of the lesser magistrate. Chet Gallagher, that is what you're appealing to, a Christian doctrine. It's called the doctrine of the lesser magistrate. In a nutshell, what does it argue, and how does that doctrine benefit my listener?
It does. It benefits us across the board in many ways. In between the superior government, let's use the federal government as an example, and the man and the woman who live in their little community, there are a series of lesser magistrates. And I don't care if we're talking about a dog catcher, a police officer, a county commissioner, a mayor, a state governor, a legislator in the state. Everywhere in between is a series of lesser magistrates. And they have the responsibility, the opportunity, and the role before God in obedience to interpose themselves to stand between the wickedness of the tyrant and the will of the people. It's not any more complicated than that. And there's several examples throughout not only Scripture, but throughout secular history as well.
Well, thanks. Listen, Chet Gallagher, thanks very much for joining my listener and me. We're glad that you were in Nashville. I think we need people like you who are highly principled and who going now to appeal to two Christian brothers, David Fowler, the Family Action Coalition, who helped defeat the bill earlier. That is to say, the Defense of Marriage Act. And you'll also be meeting with Representative Mike Carter from the Chattanooga area. And you're urging my listener to call him. Thanks again.
Thank you. Thanks for the opportunity, and bless you in Jesus' name, David.
We've been talking with Chet Gallagher, who is apparently moving to Tennessee. He's just moved here from Las Vegas. His ministry is Just Show Up Ministries. Just Show Up Ministries, and he's trying to encourage you, my listener, to just show up on this point. And the point is, well, we have really two today on the David Toulis program. One is the right to bear arms. And the focus of our interest there is Senator Todd Gardenhire, who has killed the constitutional carry bill. We want to ask him why, and we want to ask him to change his mind. And the other is the Defense of Natural Marriage Act, which is a bill that was killed by Christian people in a subcommittee a month ago or so. You can read about that at Nuganomics.com, the website for the man who matters. That's Nuganomics.com, of which I'm the mild-mannered editor, David Toulis. And the phone number for Mike Carter is one I'm going to give you a couple times here, and I want you to call him to ask him, please, to change his mind. Ask him, please, to support marriage and support the bill that rises from a very fine and vigorous doctrine, which is to say that the lesser magistrate can defy the greater if the greater is acting either lawlessly or sinfully, right? Those are the two conditions in which defiance can be made. And defiance is not revolution, okay? Defiance is simply an ordering again of what has been brought into disorder by the higher authority, right? If you have a state that's violating the Constitution or preventing the unborn from being slain, well, the lesser magistrate, the man, let's say the sheriff, right, or the county clerk or the county commission or the city council, they can intervene and interpose themselves and say, no, we are not going to allow that, and we will hound anybody who tries to prevent this good thing from being done. So Mike Carter, the state representative from the Ottawa area, his national office number, according to Chet Gallagher, is 615-741-3025. Now, that's the number. I want you to write it down. That's right. Get that piece of paper out or tap it into your smartphone if you're not driving. The number is 615-741-3025. That's 615-741-3025. In fact,